Welcome back. Now in this video it's going to be slightly different. I, as some of you may know, used to be a NCC approved engineer, so I used to do all servicing and repairs for brand new caravans and basically any age caravan really. But one of my side sort of things with doing the NCC work was fitting motor movers. Now I used to do a lot of Powrtouch stuff, so it does sort of give me a sort of an unfair advantage on motor movers, especially Powrtouch stuff. Now a question that keeps coming up is how to wire an all-wheel drive mover. Sometimes if you're lucky enough to get a brand new one, it'll come with the instructions, or if you go for fitting, someone else comes to your house, driveway, storage, fits it for you. It used to be me. So if you do buy one second hand, which people do, sometimes it doesn't come with all the information of how it works, what wires go where, and such like. So in this video, I'm going to do a quick video about how to wire up an all-wheel drive mover, how to do a bit of problem solving as well, and why it's wired like it is. Because what some people do is they'll put the motor mover on the front exactly the same as it should be, which is perfectly fine, then try and do exactly the same the other side, but the rear axle, and what happens then, the caravan tries to put itself apart. There are ways around it. It's quite easy, quite simple once you're shown, but if you're a novice or not quite up to speed with electrics and stuff like that, then obviously you're going to struggle. So for the next 10 minutes or so, we're going to go through how one's wired up. I'm going to take you some photos, do some diagrams, and give you some troubleshooting advice. So let's make a start on my one. Right, so before you start working on your mover or fitting a mover, there's a couple of things you must do, obviously. Health and safety tips first, always wise. Disconnect your caravan from the mains. Ensure that your leisure battery in the caravan is fully charged and disconnected, because you will be interfering with the cables and the wires, and if you have left it on, you could arc something out and damage something. And also, basically, take your time, don't rush. No one gets any prizes for being first and getting it wrong, so always plan your assault. So right, let's go and make a start. So what is a twin axle motor mover? Fundamentally it's exactly the same as a single axle, but there's two of them. So basically one set of motors and beam goes on the front axle as it would do normally on a single axle caravan, and you've got exactly the same setup, exactly the same motors, exactly the same bar, crossbar, wiring, exactly the same, but behind the rear axle. Now, because you have two sets of motor movers, you need two boxes. So these boxes, are they different? No, again, they are exactly the same. They are no different. The only difference you get is obviously a manual box won't have the additional connections for the actuators to push the wheels in and out like they do on an auto one, but they are exactly the same. The only difference is they're both synced to one hand controller. Now, if you're buying a second-hand one and the motor mover controller isn't synced to both of them, I do have a video which covers this, syncing a Powrtouch handset, I think it is, on the channel somewhere. Go and take a quick look at that, and it'll tell you how to sync them up. Right, now comes the tricky bit. Right, so all you got to do is remember that the front axle motor mover is exactly the same as a single axle caravan motor mover. Does exactly the same, behaves exactly as it should do. There's no witchcraft, no trickery, no changing of anything on that. It is basically a single axle mover on the front of your caravan. Now, as I was saying, the rear motor mover is exactly the same. It's not, no trickery in it. It's exactly the same thing, but obviously it's turned round the other way. You may notice that. So it's turning the other way. So what will happen is, if you now decide to move your caravan without adjusting anything, you go forwards, and what will happen is the caravan will fight against itself, and it, I don't know, digs itself into a hole, sort of. So what you need to do is you need to make those back rollers turn the other way. Very easy to do. You open your box up, and what you've got is the two power cables in the middle. They always stay the same. You don't have to touch any of them. So both boxes should be exactly the same. Big thick black on the minus, big thick red on the plus. That's your power to the mover. On the front motor mover box, it'll be red, black, black, red, because obviously motor 1 red and black, and motor 2 red and black. So that stays as it is. You get to your second box, what you're going to need to do is you need to turn those round. So basically you're reversing the polarity, which makes the motors go in the other direction. Now you think, that might be it, that's done, that's sorted. Yes, it'll go backwards and forwards fine, but it won't turn. So what you need to do is when you've turned those wires round, you then need to swap sides with them. What that then does is when it makes a mirror image of what you've got. So basically, if you want to turn, my Caravan now, if I want to turn it to the right, you go right, and what happens is it'll turn this near side motor at the front clockwise, near side rear motor clockwise as well. So basically what you've done, you've made a mirror image of your thing. There will be diagrams popping up during what I've just said there, so if you need any of those, just go back, freeze them, and you can see what I've done and how it works out. Believe me, it is very, very easy, very, very simple. It's not as hard as you think. Okay, right, so hopefully that's made a bit of sense to you. If not, what we're going to do now is we're going to go inside the Caravan and have a quick look at my setup, and by doing that you should hopefully see what I'm on about. Let's go inside. Right then, here we are. This is inside the Caravan. So as I was saying, the power will come in, unusual thing. So if I just zoom in slightly, there you go, that's the main kill switch there. So obviously one side of that comes from the Ledger battery located under the floor. The other side goes to 2 boxes here. A bit mucky, I know, but I must admit I didn't install this one. So one of my little jobs is to tidy this up at some point. Right, so that box there does motor mover 1. So if I flip up the cables, so there you go, you've got the obviously red going in, minus going in, so that's the main power going in. So you've got motor 1 over this side with red and black, motor 2 black and red. So that motor there, that box, the whole box there does the front axle. Now I'll leave that up so you can see. If I go to this side, this is the back set movers. So what basically you can see, red and black there stay exactly the same. Those are not to be touched, because if you touch those, I think it will cause a lot of trouble. As you notice, black, red, rather than red and black. So if I do it there, actually you can see it better there. So see, they're the wrong way round. They're the wrong way round. But what it is, that is motor. If this box was the front axle, that would be the cables from motor 1, which is on output 2. Those are the cables from motor 2, which are reversed and put on motor 1 output. So what that does then is that reverses the side. So what happened is now that's motor 2 wires. Because the motor mover is spun round, obviously the motors have changed sides, which you've done because you swapped that for that and that for that. But then you've reversed the speed of all the rotation of them because you've turned the cables around. It may be daunting, maybe quite, a bit hard to grab in one attempt, but I mean the diagrams I'll put on there should explain it a bit easier. Now if you've got a manual motor mover, you don't have to worry about these little cables here. These are actuator wires that go to the movers, the motors on the mover to engage them and whatever. To be honest, those don't matter where they go, as long as they go plus and minus and likewise, because when you engage them, obviously the whole setup doesn't rely on those being on a particular one. It'll just be, they just need to be activated. So yeah, quite simple, quite straightforward, not as hard as people think. Right, so I hope that's helped. Any questions, please feel free to put them down below. I do my best to answer them as quick as I can, but as you've got to appreciate, I have got a full-time job now, so by the time I get in the night time, had dinner, I'm usually out on the sofa, half asleep. So I will get to them as much as I can, quick as I can. Like I say, any questions at all, put them below. Keep liking, keep subscribing, and I'll see you again very soon.